Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dentalpreneuer Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Costas. Hope everybody's doing awesome out there today. It is Sunday morning, about 5:30 in the morning. This is my magic time. I am at the Scottsdale Princess Resort wrapping up an awesome weekend. We had the first ever dental business mastery event at the Scottsdale facility, at the DSN Scottsdale facility, and it went pretty incredibly well. I got to thank Dr. Tim McNamara, Kira Dent, Tiffany Trader, Dr. Addison Colleen. They brought the goods. The whole theme of this weekend came about because I've been the CEO of the Dental Success Institute and the Elite Practice Mastermind for 7 years now. Kind of thought of it, over a decade ago, finally got it going 3 years after my initial vision. And it's been incredible. Since then, we've had at least a couple hundred doctors come through our intensive program. But what I noticed as a theme was that this gigantic task of creating the operations manual, the ultimate systemization, would take years or sometimes never ever get done because it's such a huge, daunting task to put all of our systems in one place, to put all of our job descriptions and our protocol and our accountability agreements and the pictures of our ideal tray setups and the workflow, the clinical and business workflow in a practice. That is just a daunting task. So when you say you have to systemize a practice and, you say you need to create this operations manual, we never really had a template. We never really had like a definitive guide. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Well, we did, but it was never formalized. It was a series of Word documents and a loose templated kind of method of doing it. So we decided as a leadership team at the Dental Success Institute that we are going to take the time to put an awesome template together. So that's what we did. The template is over 600 pages and it covers every potential position that you could possibly have in your dental practice. We put it in digitized form and it's templated. So we have our ideal templates for my 10 practices, but we made it so that it was totally editable because every practice is slightly different. And that was the reason that I resisted putting a template together in the first place, because I believe that the operations manual has to be completely customized to every practice because every practice is different. Every group of team members are slightly different. You want your team to have authorship in it if they're going to believe in it. So I always thought that a template was probably a bad idea, but we put ours together using our language and it's completely editable. So if you like our language, you could use it. If you don't like our language, you can remove it. So this actual event, it was all about customizing this operations manual template and getting my OGs, that I like to call them, my original gangsters, my long-time members, mastermind members, to finally get their operations manual finished and buttoned up, and for a lot of our new clients to be able to get this done in a reasonable time frame. So we gave them a 2-month time window to finish this completely, and we gave them a big head start. What a lot of people didn't anticipate, and what I've gotten the most positive feedback on for the weekend, was the whole notion of creating core values, creating a really solid mission, vision statement, a really solid set of core values. So we went through a core values exercise, which was really, really powerful. Dr. Tim McNamara and I took the time to put that together and talk everybody through it. Core values aren't intended to be created in a 20-minute or even hour period of time, but we gave people the opportunity to get a good head start. And if they had their core values in place and they were happy with them, we utilized those. But if they hadn't, or they hadn't taken, a good amount of time to put those together and a good amount of thought to put those together, we helped them through that exercise. It's really, really powerful exercise, because once you have your core values, everything is built around your core values, your mission, your vision, what I like to call your foundational principles. So we spent a significant amount of time on core values. And then once you have your core values, we created these assessments so that we could determine if every single person on your team was a cultural fit. And we have a very tangible way of doing that now. We have a self-assessment / leadership team assessment, scale of 1 to 5. How does who we called Susan rank on the scale of 1 to 5 for all of your core values? It's a very objective way to say, oh, wow, I knew there was friction here, but clearly this person is not a culture fit. And once you determine that, you can either decide if you're going to work with this person or eliminate this person from your team. But starting with the foundational principles, I think that's such an important place to start when we're putting our operations manual together, when we putting our systemization together. Because why even bother trying to build a world-class team if you have a bunch of ones? We want to surround ourselves with 4s and 5s, people that want to be there, people that understand what your mission and vision is, and people that are motivated to help you get that done and passionate about where you're going and what you want to accomplish. So that's what we spent a good half of the day putting together on Friday. And then the rest of the day, we literally sat down and redlined, what we called red penned, the operations manual, and people got a huge head start on creating their protocol, on buttoning down their job descriptions, and really, really actually sitting down and creating procedural and process checklists and accountability agreements. It was awesome. I mean, it was every second of that 16 hours that we spent together was done. We basically locked 70 people in a room, and we said, all right, our goal is to get as much of this operations manual done as possible. And then we put tangible timelines in place with accountability partners to make sure that they got that done. And then, when their job descriptions were done, we emailed those all in so that we could categorize them and we could see what everybody's job description was for office manager, what everybody's job description was for backside chairside assistant, what everybody's job description was for front office assistant, for office manager. And then we can kind of categorize those, and they can read everybody else's job description, so they could take what they like from other people, they can borrow it, they can use theirs. We did the same thing for all the procedures and the protocol and all of that stuff. So it was a very, very impactful day. Very, very impactful first day, and the collaboration effect is what I really like about that. So we could see what 70 other people are doing, and we can kind of pick the one that we like best. We could stick with ours. We can compare. So we just have a bank of comparison. I like that a lot. And then the second day was all about onboarding. So, Kira is the master at hiring. So she has because she has a recruitment company. So she has a very stepwise, proven hiring process. From the ads, we spent time actually writing ads for the different positions. So we spent time writing ads and sharing our most successful ads with each other. And we did the same thing. Everybody emailed their ads in for the different positions. So now we have a bank of different ads for back office, for front office, for office manager, whatever position we're looking for. And now we have a point of comparison. And she took us through the entire hiring process, from the ads to the phone interview to the background check to the group team interview, the questions to ask, how to, give a first pass at trying to gauge whether or not they're going to be a good culture fit. So we spent early morning on Saturday doing that. And then we went to how to onboard them. This is right up my alley. This is besides systemization and the operations manual, onboarding is another thing that I just can sink my teeth into, because I tell the story all the time, but my sister is a corporate trainer for one of the major banks in the United States. She's vice president. And whether or not they're hiring somebody that works at the lowest level, working the phones, to a vice president, they have a really vibrant training process. For somebody that's working for $16 an hour all the way up to somebody that's making, $500,000, they have a really vibrant, intentional training process. But what do we do in the dental industry when we want to hire somebody new? We say, okay, you're going to be a dental assistant. Follow Sharon around for 2 days, and then you'll be ready to go. No formal onboarding process, no attempt to make sure that they know the mission, vision, core values of your practice. No attempt to get any kind of consistency amongst the other people that share their position. So I wanted that to be different. As I added more and more practices to our group, we wanted to make sure that there was consistency. We wanted to make sure that there was a great level of collaboration and calibration, not just amongst other people that shared their same position, but amongst everybody in the practice. So everybody knew what the core values were. Everybody knew how to explain periodontal disease. Everybody knew the reasons why we go from a large filling to a crown. Everybody understood the progression of caries. So those are the sorts of things that were important to me. But the onboarding process is where that all starts, the initial training process, the orientation. So we walked through all of that. Day 1, you do this. Day 2, you do that. Day 3, you do that. Day 4, you're ready to go. We work in quizzes and benchmarks and really worked on identifying their 30, 60, 90-day expectations. Expectations are the secret. If you clearly define expectations, then you're going to have a really great, consistent product, and somebody that understands exactly what success looks like in the eyes of the leadership team. I can't tell you how many people get hired, and I've made this mistake. I'm not preaching to you guys. I can't tell you how many times, let's just say from my perspective, I've hired people, never really identified what success looks like, and then got irritated when somebody didn't live up to my expectations. I mean, how is somebody supposed to live up to your expectations if you've never defined what your expectations really are? People, just like in any relationship, personal or professional, people are not mind readers, and they cannot tell you, or they cannot perform up to your expectations if you never clearly define them. So we worked on onboarding process, orientation, clearly defining expectations. And then for the tail end of the day, we worked again on really hardcore redlining and customizing the operations manual. It was an incredible, incredible weekend. One of the more, I think, satisfying weekends, I think, for us as a coaching group, because we got to see all of them walk out with a tangible product that they could immediately use in their practice, Monday morning, and a definitive timeline to get it completely done. So first ever inaugural Dental Success Business Mastery event. I think it was a huge success. I think that whether or not you guys ever attend one of these, we're going to be opening these up to the public and doing these quarterly, so stay tuned. Whether or not you guys ever attend one of these, know the importance of putting a really good operations manual together that's not just a dust collector, but that is an actual working document that you guys reference on an everyday basis. So important. Michael Gerber, who's the author of The E-Myth Revisited and one of my Fantastic Four, talks about creating a franchise prototype, about creating a business, no matter how big or small it is, that that could stand up to the replication test, that could stand as your franchise prototype, that could stand as the model that could be replicated up to 500, 5,000 times if you needed to. Systems need to be so tight that anybody could pick up this operations manual and know exactly what they were doing in any position, whether or not they had dental experience. That's the ultimate goal. So operations manual, the importance of the operations manual, the importance of defining expectations, the importance of foundational principles that you build your whole organization upon, the importance of orientation and clearly defining expectations and putting a really good onboarding process together. The importance of having a hiring process. All of those things, guys, whether or not you choose to join us here at DSI or attend one of our events, that's just a quick list of things that you have to make sure that you're doing to have a real business. Or else all you're really doing is creating a staff-dependent business that is way too dependent upon your all-stars and who you are able to recruit into your practice. That may be good for a period of time, sometimes for an entire career, but most cases, if you have a staff-dependent practice, when the staff shows a little chink in the armor, or somebody gets a job transfer, their spouse gets a job transfer, or somebody retires, that can really wreak havoc on a dental practice. So if you are less dependent upon the staff and more dependent upon the systems, that is the first step towards freedom. So that was just a little recap of what we did this weekend. I love spending my magic time with you all. First thing in the morning, you could tell that my voice is strained because I spoke for 16 hours yesterday, but it was one of those incredible, life-changing weekends for myself and a lot of people. And I got to crash at one of my favorite hotels, the Scottsdale Princess Resort here in Scottsdale. My family is still sound asleep. I'm going to go get a workout in, maybe a run, and we'll talk to you guys all very soon. All the best out there in podcast land. Have a great week.